Postcoital.
Postcoital.
Postdate.
Postdate.
Some of the mosaics postdate this period.
Postdoctoral. Postdoctoral.
Postdoctoral research.
Poster.
Poster.
A team of volunteers were putting up posters.
A poster campaign for the election.
The poster for the exhibition.
Posters of old movie stars. Poster child.
Poster child.
Dylan is the poster child for wasted talent.
Post-restant.
Post-restant. Posterior.
Posterior.
The posterior part of the brain.
Posterity.
Posterity.
A priceless work of art that must be kept for posterity.
Poster paint.
Poster paint.
Post-game.
Postgame.
Post-game celebrations.
Postgrad.
Postgrad.
Postgraduate.
Postgraduate.
Postgraduate degrees.
Posthaste. Posthaste.
He departed post-haste for Verdun.
Posthumous.
Posthumous.
A posthumous collection of his articles.
He was posthumously awarded the Military Cross.
Posty. Posty.
Postindustrial.
Postindustrial.
The Post-Industrial Information-Based Society.
Posting.
Posting.
Shortly before his posting to South Africa.
A diplomatic posting.
Job postings.
Posted.
Post-it.
Postman.
Postman.
Postmark.
Postmark.
The letter was postmarked Iowa.
Postmaster.
Postmaster.
Postmenopausal.
Postmenopausal.
Postmistress.
Postmistress.
Postmodern.
Postmodern.
Postmodern architecture.
Postmodern culture. Postmodernism.
Postmodernism.
Postmodernist fiction.
Postmortem.
Postmortem.
A postmortem on the body revealed that the victim had been strangled.
A postmortem on the company's poor results. Postnatal.
Postnatal.
Postnatal care.
Postnatal depression.
The post office.
Post office.
Post office box.
Post office box.
Post-operative.
Postoperative.
Post-operative care.
Post-paid.
Postpaid.
The kit cost $33.95 post-paid. Postpartum.
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 Postpone.
Postpone.
The match had to be postponed until next week.
They've decided to postpone having a family for a while.
His trial has been postponed indefinitely.
Postprandial. Postprandial.
A postprandial nap. Postscript.
Postscript.
There's an interesting postscript to this tale.
Post-season.
Postseason.
A post-season game.
Post-secondary.
Postsecondary.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Postulate.
Postulate.
It has been postulated that the condition is inherited.
The basic postulates of Marxism.
Postural.
Postural.
Postural problems.
Posture.
Posture.
Poor posture can lead to muscular problems.
Her upright posture.
He tends to adopt a defensive posture towards new ideas.
He dismissed the senator's comments as political posturing.
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 He dismissed the senator's comments as political posturing.
Posture.
Posturing.
Post-war.
Post-war.
Post-war Britain.
Food rationing in the immediate post-war years.
Posy.
Posy.
Pot.
Pot.
Pots and pans. There was a big pot of soup on the stove. Herbs growing in pots. Is there any tea left in the pot?
I'll make a pot of coffee. A pot of blue paint. An earthenware pot.
The government has let the whole country go to pot.
They've got pots of money in the bank.
He's hoping to make pots of money from the deal.
So far, we've got £150 in the pot.
There was $1,000 in the pot.
Michael was smoking pot with some friends.
Pot the seedlings after 2 to 3 weeks.
Potable.
Potable.
Potash.
Potash.
Potassium.
Potassium.
Potato.
Potato.
Marie stood at the sink peeling potatoes.
Potato crisp.
Potato crisp.
Potato peeler.
Potato peeler.
Pot-bellied stove.
Pot-bellied stove.
Potbelly.
Potbelly.
Pot boiler.
Pot boiler.
Potbound. Potbound. Pochine. Pochine. Potency.
Potency.
The potency of his arguments.
The myth of male superiority was losing its potency.
The potency of the drug.
Loss of potency after age 40.
Potent.
Potent.
Potent drugs.
A potent symbol of oppression.
Advertising is a potent force in showing smoking as a socially acceptable habit.
A good company pension scheme remains a potent weapon for attracting staff.
The treaty requires them to get rid of their most potent weapons.
Potentate.
Potentate.
Potential.
Potential.
New ways of attracting potential customers.
The potential benefits of the new system. The potential risks to health associated with the drug.
The company certainly has the potential for growth. The potential of the internet to create jobs. She has the potential to become a champion.
A young player with great potential.
Potential energy.
Potential energy.
Potentiality.
Potentiality.
Potentially.
Potentially.
A potentially dangerous situation.
Potful.
Potful.
Potholder.
Potholder.
Pothole.
Pothole.
Potholing.
Potholing.
Potion.
Potion.
A magic potion.
A love potion.
Potluck.
Potluck. We hadn't booked a hotel, so we had to take potluck. I'm not sure what there is in the fridge. You'll have to take potluck.
Can you bring a salad? It's a potluck. A potluck supper at the church.
Pot pie.
Pot pie.
Pot plant.
Pot plant. Potpourri.
Potpourri.
A potpourri of literary styles.
Pot roast.
Pot roast.
Potted.
Potted.
A potted plant.
Pot shot.
Pot shot.
The boy took a pot shot at a pigeon with his air gun.
He enjoys taking pot shots at the government whenever the opportunity arises. Potted.
Potted.
A potted plant.
Potter.
Potter.
I spent the morning pottering about in the garden.
Potter's wheel.
Potter's wheel.
Pottery.
Pottery.
Native American pottery. A pottery bowl.
A pottery class.
Potting shed.
Potting shed.
Potty.
Potty.
What a potty idea.
You must be potty. She's potty about riding.
Do you need to go potty? Potty mouth.
Potty mouth.
Potty-mouthed.
Potty mouthed.
Potty training.
Potty training.
Pouch.
Pouch.
A leather pouch of tobacco.
A money pouch.
A mail pouch.
Poof.
Poof. Poultice.
Poultice.
Poultry.
Poultry.
Pounce.
Pounce.
The cat was hiding in the bushes, ready to pounce. Kevin pounced on Liam and started hitting him.
Teachers are quick to pounce on students' grammatical errors.
When they offered O'Leary the chance to become manager, he pounced on it. When they offered O'Leary the chance to become manager, he pounced on it. Pound.
Pound.
A pound of apples.
Moira weighs about 130 pounds.
The grapes cost $2 a pound.
They spent over £1,000.
A multi-million-pound business.
A £5 note.
The pound was up against the dollar.
He began pounding the keyboard of his computer.
Thomas pounded on the door with his fist.
Waves pounded against the pier. Waves pounded against the pier.
Green pounded his fist on the counter.
Patrick rushed to the door, his heart pounding with excitement. She ran, her heart pounding in her chest.
I could hear him pounding up the stairs.
A policeman pounding his beat.
Runners will be pounding the pavement this weekend during the London Marathon.
Enemy forces have been pounding the city for over 2 months.
Poundage.
Poundage.
Pound cake.
Pound cake.
Pounder.
Pounder.
Pounding.
Pounding.
The pounding of the waves on the rocks below.
Manchester United took a real pounding.
The ship had taken a pounding on the rocks. Pound key.
Pound key.
Pound sign.
Pound sign.
Pound sterling.
Pound sterling.
Pour.
Pour.
She poured coffee for everyone.
Pour the oil into a frying pan and heat.
The wine was so bad, I just poured it away.
Why don't you pour yourself another drink?
Smoke was pouring out of the upstairs windows.
Blood was pouring from his nose.
It's pouring now.
It poured all night.
It was pouring down with rain at 3 o'clock.
The crowds began pouring out of the stadium.
Offers of help poured in from all over the country. Light was pouring into the courtyard.
The raiders really poured it on in the second quarter.
They've poured thousands of pounds into developing the business.
She poured out all her troubles to him.
Pouring.
Pouring.
Pout.
Pout.
He sounded like a pouting child.
Her full lips pouted slightly.
Poverty.
Poverty.
Millions of elderly people live in poverty. We need an effective strategy to fight poverty.
Continued efforts to alleviate poverty and raise living standards.
Scenes of abject poverty.
The causes of urban poverty.
20% of the population now live below the poverty line.
The novel shows a surprising poverty of imagination.
Poverty-stricken.
Poverty-stricken.
Poverty-stricken families.
POW.
Pow.
Powder.
Powder.
Curry powder.
Talcum powder.
Grind the sugar into a powder. The paint is supplied in powder form.
Since the riot, the city has been a powder keg waiting to explode.
There's a foot of powder on the slopes.
She was powdering her face.
She's just gone to powder her nose.
Powder blue.
Powder blue.
Powdered.
Powdered.
Powdered milk.
Powdered sugar.
Powdered sugar. Powder puff.
Powder puff.
Powder room.
Powder room.
Powdery.
Powdery.
Powdery snow.
Power.
Power.
People should have more power over the decisions that affect their lives.
Power-hungry politicians.
The voters have once again shown their support for the party in power. De Gaulle came to power in 1958.
They seized power in a military coup.
The power of his writing.
The immense power of television.
The pulling power of major celebrities.
The police have been given special powers to help them in the fight against terrorism.
The committee has the power to order an inquiry.
The chairman has the power of veto on all decisions.
After the accident, she lost the power of speech.
A writer's powers of observation.
Your mental powers.
A stone with magical powers.
Many people are opposed to the use of nuclear power.
The search for renewable sources of power.
The ship was able to leave port under its own power. Property in the city is beyond the purchasing power of most people. Property in the city is beyond the purchasing power of most people.
Your bargaining power in pay negotiations.
The power of a cheetah's long legs.
The power of the explosion smashed windows across the street.
Make sure the power is switched off first.
Parts of the country have had power cuts because of the storms. The power came back on.
Egypt is still a major power in the Middle East.
I wish it was within my power to change the decision.
The ambassador promised to do everything in his power to get the hostages released.
It's beyond the power of the court to make such a decision.
It looks as if your holiday has done you a power of good.
The powers that be don't want the media to get hold of the story. The powers that be don't want the media to get hold of the story.
It's powered by a Ferrari V12 engine.
His strong body powered through the water.
Never move a computer while it is powered up.
Power tools.
Power shower. Power shower.
Power-assisted steering. Power base.
Power base.
The party's traditional power base.
Powerboat.
Powerboat.
Power broker.
Power broker.
Power cut.
Power cut.
Power dressing.
Power dressing.
Power drill.
Power drill.
Powered.
Powered.
A powered wheelchair.
A nuclear-powered submarine.
A high-powered engine.
Power failure.
Power failure.
Powerful.
Powerful.
He was one of the most powerful men in Bohemia.
A very influential and powerful family. Rich and powerful nations.
A powerful speech.
Good teamwork is a powerful tool for effective management.
Immigrants have had a powerful influence on the local culture.
A powerful sense of tradition.
A new generation of more powerful PCs.
A machine that is immensely powerful. A powerful 24-valve engine. A powerful telescope.
Jed was a powerful, well-built man.
The females are smaller and less powerful than the males.
An explosion 10 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb.
A powerful right-foot shot on goal. Winds powerful enough to uproot trees.
A powerful fighting force.
A powerful singing voice.
The powerful headlights.
Christie is very powerfully built.
Powerhouse.
Powerhouse.
Europe's industrial powerhouse.
A powerhouse of a man.
Powerless.
Powerless.
He felt so powerless.
Local police were powerless to stop them doing it again.
The villagers were powerless against the rising floodwater.
A sense of frustration and powerlessness. Power line.
Power line.
Overhead power lines.
Power nap.
Power nap.
Power of attorney.
Power of attorney.
Power outage.
Power outage.
Power pack.
Power pack.
Power plant.
Power plant.
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
Power politics.
Power politics.
Power sharing.
Power sharing.
Proposals for power sharing between Catholics and Protestants in Northern Ireland.
Power station.
Power station.
Chernobyl nuclear power station.
Power steering.
Power steering.
Most new cars now have power steering.
Power structure.
Power structure.
There have been significant changes in the power structure of the company.
Power tool.
Power tool.
Powwow.
Powwow.
Pox.
Pox.
Poxy.
Poxy.
We've had such poxy weather lately. A poxy little room.
Pages.
See pages 15 to 17.
P-plate.
P-plate.
PPP.
PPP.
PPS.
PPS.
PR. A large PR firm. The band have been getting a lot of good PR recently.
Many say it was no more than a PR exercise.
Practicable.
Practicable.
The only practicable course of action is to sell the company. It is their duty to ensure, so far as is reasonably practicable, that the equipment is safe. It may not always be practicable to follow exactly the recommendations.
Practical.
Candidates should have training and practical experience in basic electronics.
The practical problems of old age.
They provide financial and practical help for disabled students. They provide financial and practical help for disabled students.
A combination of theoretical and practical training.
They haven't thought about the practical consequences of the new regulations.
In practical terms, this means spending more time with each student.
It doesn't sound like a very practical solution.
A practical way of achieving greater efficiency.
Unfortunately, there's no practical alternative to driving.
A practical guide to buying and selling a house.
She's a very practical person.
I was very shocked, but tried to be practical and think what to do.
Skirts aren't very practical in my kind of work.
I'm not very practical. I can't even change a light bulb.
The time you spend on it doesn't, for all practical purposes, affect the final result. The time you spend on it doesn't, for all practical purposes, affect the final result.
Sampras looks a practical certainty to win Wimbledon this year.
A chemistry practical. Practicality.
Practicality.
Practicalities of everyday life for someone in a wheelchair.
Doubts about the practicality of your suggestion.
You need to think about comfort and practicality when choosing walking shoes.
Practical joke.
Practical joke.
Practically.
Practically.
I've read practically all of his books.
She sees him practically every day.
It's practically impossible to predict what will happen.
The two designs were practically identical.
But how can we pay for it? Said John practically.
Practical nurse.
Practical nurse.
Practice.
Practice.
It takes hours of practice to learn to play the guitar.
With a little more practice, you should be able to pass your test.
We have choir practice on Tuesday evening.
Schumacher crashed out in practice for the Australian Grand Prix.
John's at baseball practice. John's at baseball practice.
In practice, women receive much lower wages than their male colleagues.
The journey should only take about 30 minutes, but in practice it usually takes more like an hour.
Religious beliefs and practices. Dangerous working practices.
The practice of dumping waste into the sea.
Mary Beth had a busy legal practice in Los Angeles.
It's common practice in many countries for pupils to repeat a year if their grades are low.
It's standard practice to seek parents' permission wherever possible.
It's not considered good practice to reveal clients' names. It's not considered good practice to reveal clients' names.
It gave him the chance to put his ideas into practice.
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 They moved the furniture back to practice their dance routine.
It gives students the opportunity to practice their speaking skills.
Today we're going to practice parking.
She's practicing for her piano recital.
Everybody wants to practice their English on me.
This technique is widely practiced in Europe. When she has completed her training, she intends to practice in the UK.
Gemma is now practicing as a dentist.
They are free to practice their religion openly.
She didn't always practice what she preached.